Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show. I'm your host, Allison Ankerstar, and today we'll be talking about the application of the new ChatGPT technology to the financial services industry, the upstake in Blackstone stock, and the latest on Apple stock. But before we begin, as a reminder, this is a financial education presentation and should not be construed as personal financial advice. Full disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com. Good morning, Steve. ChatGPT has been all over the news lately and poses a challenge to the new knowledge industry. How will it affect financial advisors?
Well, hey, good morning, everyone, and thanks, Allison. You can see we're still on the road. I do travel back home today, but in the background there, you have beautiful Lake Tahoe. On the Nevada side is where I'm staying, but did a little bit of skiing this weekend and headed back home today. So the question is, GPT, excuse me, is the newest technology out there. I checked this out the other night while I had some time on my hands, and I was pretty impressed. All in all, if you haven't played with it, I get it. I kind of throw it in there like a WebMD or a Reddit or, the old AOL chat rooms or, it's something that either if you're into technology and your computer and finding information, then you're going to love this. If that's not really your thing, then you're probably never going to set up a login to use it. But Microsoft did make an investment with ChatGPT, and it really has made a lot of news lately. So let's go over to it, right? So I did this morning. This was about an hour ago when I kind of logged in, and it says, Chat GPT is at capacity right now, which is kind of funny because you think of an AI running at capacity. Anyway, so I wanted to wait till you hear refresh there, and then you can see the status of the GPT comedy routine, right? And it populates that. So let's refresh real quick. Looks like we need to log in again. And this hopefully we'll just continue with Google since it logged me out. Okay, so just to give you an example, exceptionally high demand, hang tight as we work. All right, so maybe it's not quite ready for prime time. Right here, new chat. So here's what I asked. So best financial planning software. So this is a good example. I didn't know it saved the answers here, and it kind of populates real time. So I thought this was pretty good. These are all free stuff, not behind a paid firewall. But I asked that question, gave a decent answer. Active versus passive investing. I put that in there, gave a fantastic answer of explaining both. So I went advanced, right? So I went how to play how to play pair of jacks under the gun in Texas Hold'em, which is a very difficult question, and it nailed it. It said there are several things to consider, so I thought that was pretty good. I asked if it had predictive abilities, who will win the Super Bowl. I'm not able to predict the outcome of future events. Apple ticker, didn't recognize ServiceNow as a ticker, which is weird because that's not a new company. And where it failed. So, I started down here with Roth conversion strategy, and it gave me a pretty good answer. I like that. When are quarterly taxes due? Pretty good answer. Traditional versus Roth IRA was an amazing answer, laying out all everything. But then you get into, what are the 2023 IRA limits, which is really an easy question, right? And it says it doesn't have that information. So bottom line, what I think it's great technology. I don't think that GPT is going to be the end of the human race. Where AI takes off and takes over. Probably something to think about, though. But so overall, how would I use it, or is it a threat to the industry? I would say no. It's not. Much like WebMD has fantastic information out there, but it didn't replace doctors. You still need humans in the loop to kind of take a look at your personal situation and then apply the body of knowledge, which the AI is good at accessing, to your situation. right? And there's some judgment in there, and that's what it takes. So I don't think it's going to be a threat to the financial services industry or any other knowledge industry that's out there. But I think it will make the financial industry or advisors better, at least on our team. A lot of times we get emails saying, "Hey, explain this," or whatever. Well, if I can explain it with a screenshot, I'll ask ChatGPT if I can get access, and some questions, and then it will. If it types the answer and I like the answer, I can send that screenshot, which is a little quicker than just typing it out, right? So overall, pretty impressed. I think it will make advisors better, much like robo advising made advisors better. It didn't replace advisors, but now if you put money in, I can immediately access a robo solution, and then I can take that solution and now apply it to your situation, which may or may not be exactly right for you, versus just the blanket application. So all in all, I just want to show you guys that pretty impressive technology. Hopefully they get their capacity issues fixed, and we can go from there.
Next, Blackstone stock has been on a tier in 2023. Is ticker BX a buy, sell, or hold?
Well, I've always liked Blackstone, so I do have to watch out for my own personal biases here. But it did received an upgrade and a downgrade this morning. So remember, there's two sides to every story. No matter how much you like your stock, you can find somebody else that's saying that it's a sell, right? But JP Morgan, which I do respect, I use their research. They upgraded. Blackstone calls it best in class, which is true. I've always said that. They're a private equity firm that has their hands in a lot of things, and they're also buyers of distressed real estate. So they came out of the 2007 to 2009 global financial crisis very well, right? Because they were able to go in and pick up a lot of assets on the cheap in distressed real estate space. But however, what did they, where are they now? The stock's been crushed going into this year, and then it's had a nice bounce so far this year. But it did have some negative press as far as their $69 million real estate fund called BREIT. They had to limit the withdrawals because they use 5% per quarter. There are a bunch of withdrawals, so they ran into some drama there. But since then, they've had some major investors roll in, so there's really not an issue, in my opinion. So when you take a look at the actual stock chart, which is right here, this is a 1-year chart. You can see the stock's been hammered all the way up from the 130 level all the way down to 70, or I think it even touched slightly lower than 70 there, wherever the low is. You see the bounce, it's had a nice bounce so far this year. It's actually up 18% year to date. Am I worried about that it's already bounced too much? Absolutely not. I think it's definitely undervalued. It pays just above, pays, if you look at the dividend yield on the right hand here, 5.57%. As far as your dividend, that does fluctuate. It's more of a distribution than a pure dividend. But absolutely love it. When you look at current P 25, forward P 19, I think everything is attractively priced here. So do your own diligence if you if you were going to do this on your own. But if you're with me, you can expect to either be holding Blackstone or increase your position of Blackstone in the next week or so.
Last, Apple is the only major tech firm that hasn't announced a layoff, and instead, the CEO, Tim Cook, took a $50 million pay cut. Will this help or hurt the stock?
Yeah, so that's an interesting strategy, right? So tech firms their stocks have all been hammered, right? Because that was what 22 was, is the hammering of tech stocks. So they're all down big, and they're looking at now, normally you would do buybacks. They can't do buyback. Well, they can do buybacks, but there's our government put a surcharge on it. So you have to pay, I think 1% or something if you do that. So companies really aren't going to do that a whole lot anymore, in my opinion. So how do you save money? Well, you can cut pay or lay people off, right? And you've seen it across the board. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all doing layoffs. Salesforce doing layoffs, and they've been taking some heat for it. Well, the issue is, everybody, the press tends to be pretty negative, right? So it's gloom and doom, and oh my gosh, it's going to be the end of the world, recession coming up, and all of that. Well, if you believe that, then the companies are getting in front of that by laying people off before it gets bad. And if you do that to a certain extent, you can actually talk yourself into a full recession, because we're laying so many people off in anticipation of the recession that unemployment actually goes up, right? So, Apple, they make their choice here. Obviously, from a shareholder perspective, layoffs are good. That's from a shareholder perspective. So don't get too excited with me there. But if you cut a portion of your workforce, and any large organization out there has people on the payroll that could probably be trimmed and replaced, and be more efficient, if you will, outside of the human aspect, just be more efficient. So that's what's going on. A lot of reworking the org charts, a lot of companies, but Apple, Tim Cook, who I respect, deeply respect, has decided to take a pay cut instead of laying people off. So either way, it's less money going out the door as far as the expenses for the company for their payroll. So it's kind of same, but a little bit different with Apple. But I like the way they roll. It's my number one stock in the book and personally, and I continue to believe that. Let's look at the chart real quick. Again, this is a 1-year chart that you're seeing here. It's been beat up. It's had a nice little bounce here in 2023, and I expect that bounce will continue, really separate of the Fed and everything else. I think when you look at Apple and how fast it comes back previously, it just marches straight back to new highs pretty much anytime you let it. So that's my opinion on Apple.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Please submit your questions as a comment through social media or directly to our email at vipservices@ankerstarwealth.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to get daily updates. That's all we have